This is a cricket podcast.
All wrapped up in Karachi, New Zealand winning the final ODI.
Two mates obsessed with the game.
You do have a bit of a thing about your sort of Black Caps bowlers whacking runs.
Covering all the on-field action.
I was super excited because Will Young was back playing for the Stags, having returned from international duty.
This is the Back of a Length podcast.
Tēnā koutou katoa, and welcome to another episode of the Back of a Length podcast. Hello, Marc.
Hello, Dr. Ashley Bloomfield. How are you?
Oh, I miss Ashley Bloomfield.
Quick non-cricket chat.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to remain Dr. Ashley Bloomfield, or will it be Sir Ashley Bloomfield, or will it be Dr. Sir Ashley Bloomfield, or Sir Dr. Ashley Bloomfield? How does that work?
I don't know how that works, but I feel like your dream is to be called Sir Doctor or Dr. Sir.
Dr. Sir would be awesome, wouldn't it? Because you've got the first title that you've done a lot of education for and stuff. And then to follow that up with a Sir, like Dr. Sir, sounds more badass. But anyway, we're a cricket podcast, not a politics podcast. So let's crack on.
It has been another week of rain here in Auckland, and we've had another disrupted SuperSmash week, Marc. So again, we tried to go down to the Eden Park Outer Oval and see the Auckland Central. Auckland Central were playing. The Hinds and the Hearts got their full game in there. A great one for the Hearts. Yep. Prue Catton with her first half century of the tournament. So that was great. Lovely to be there. And then the Stags came out to play the Aces. And, well, I tell you what. It started off pretty well because I got a little bit excited.
Why did you get a little bit excited? Please, everyone's on tenterhooks here. Do tell everyone.
I was super excited because Will Young was back playing for the Stags, having returned from international duty. And I only know from Instagram, because Neil Wagner put an Instagram post up, that they only flew in on Monday. So I wasn't sure if the players would be back. But yes, Will Young back on the sideline, back on the field, along with Ajaz Patel, myself on the sideline.
I wish Will Young was on the sideline. As a side note to that sideline, if you were in the Auckland region on Saturday, you didn't hear like some random bird calls or like whale sounds or dolphin noises. They were Renee's excited screams.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I think that is what happened. Well, I tell you what, it was worth being excited to have Will Young back playing for the Stags, because he hit 5 sixes in 1 over. He was one short of his golden shower, which is...
it's getting traction, that, though, to be fair. We laugh at that. There's now 3 people who call it a golden shower. We're expanding.
We are expanding. So
we'll hopefully be at 4 by the end of the year.
A golden shower is when you hit 6 sixes in 1 over. Yes. Will Young, 1 ball short of a golden shower.
And got out to the filthiest delivery possible.
Worst delivery.
Filthiest delivery.
Disgusting. I think even he admitted
for those who didn't see it, Louis Delport was bowling, and first 5 balls were just bowled on a length. He bowled spin. As we Oval is pretty small, and they were just dispatched pretty much straight back over his head. So for the last ball, he decided to chuck in a bouncer as a spinner, and Will Young just clipped it to deep backward square and was caught on the boundary. Everyone cheered because they thought, 6 sixes and not over, and then they realised there was a fielder there, and everyone was like, do we celebrate that?
It was actually
the only person who was absolutely certain that they should celebrate it was Louis Delport.
Louis Delport celebrated this wicket like Louis Delport had not just been hit for 5 sixes. I was so excited. I was like, you don't deserve to be that excited, Louis Delport.
No, he was the only... Everyone else kind of like just had their head in their hands. They were like, oh my God, I can't believe that's just happened. And he was like, yeah, get in, got a wicket. Worked hard for that. Everyone was just like, chill out.
Chill out, bro. Yes. So Will Young does that. Then the rain came, but unfortunately for the Aces, that Will Young over meant that they were so far ahead of DLS that it was the Stags win there.
You say they were so far ahead of DLS. They were 29 runs ahead of DLS at that point. So had Louis Delport have maybe, I don't know, bowled a decent ball first or second ball and got Will Young out, maybe that would have altered the course of the game. But yeah, second week in a row, Auckland have lost on DLS. It's becoming a bit of a theme. They've batted first in both games. I do wonder if on Friday whether they should, if they win the toss, decide to bowl first.
I think they should. We've talked about how Eden Park Outer Oval is a sticky wicket and it's difficult to set a total there. So I think that Auckland would definitely benefit from knowing exactly what they have to chase.
Yep, I think so. And we've had this discussion before about DLS generally benefiting the batting team. Second, the team that bats second. So I do think that with the rain around that we've had over the last 6 years, relentless, it feels that way, that maybe they should think about changing tactic and chasing a total, because all you need to do is 5 overs constitutes a game in the second innings. Just be ahead of DLS. After 5 overs. Then if you're ahead of DLS after 5 overs and the rain comes, you win the game. If you're ahead of DLS after 5 overs and you're going to see the innings out and bat your 20 overs, then you can manage your run chase from there.
Off you go, Marc.
So that's me. I should probably give them some tactics.
You go drop Robbie O'Donnell a note about how to captain his team.
Yeah, I'm going to slide into his DMs.
You do that. Let's talk about Sunday's SuperSmash action. It was another win for the Wellington Blaze, who have won 17 games in a row.
That's pretty alright, isn't it?
That's pretty alright, and those players are not going anywhere. Meanwhile, on the men's side, this was such a close game. The Volts and the Firebirds were something ridiculous, 30.
They were 20 for 5.
20 for 5, and then they went up to about 40 for 6 or something. It was Troy Johnson who managed to get to a half century, supported there by Adam Milne, hit the 1/6 of the Firebirds innings, would you believe? It was quite nice.
Troy Johnson also hit a 6, just FYI.
Oh, I only remember the Adam Milne one.
Fair enough. Understandable. You do have a bit of a thing about your sort of Black Caps bowlers whacking runs.
I do love it. I love to see
Last episode was all about Matt Henry. This episode, I feel like we're going down the Adam Milne route here.
I'm happy to go down the Adam Milne route.
As we found out last year, and as unfortunately he found out last year as well.
Yes, so back to this game though. The Volts managed to chase down the total the Firebirds set, which was about 122. It did get quite close there, but the Volts beating the Firebirds has completely upset really the points table. Just a side note that the Volts got a bunch of wickets, apart from Michael Rippon was the one bowler that didn't get a wicket in this insane bowling attack.
Yeah, because you messaged me and told me that Michael Rippon opened the bowling, and I was quite surprised with that, but I was like, alright, give the lad a go, and you told me to give him a go, and I did, and he was the only one who didn't pick up a wicket. So, and to be fair, Logan van Beek didn't pick up a wicket either, and I just feel the Dutch fellas didn't really have a good go of it, to be honest. What a shame.
But they might have a good go of it this weekend, because this Friday the cricket in Auckland is going to be Auckland versus the Firebirds. So Logan van Beek, Adam Milne, get ready.
And rain.
I hope it doesn't rain. It'll still be there.
Yeah, same. The forecast is set fair, but it was also set to be sunny all day last Saturday. But that's okay. Again, if you're around, come and say hello.
Come and say hello, because it will be a must win for Auckland. So let's have a look at the points table very quickly as we record this episode. The Central Stags are on top, 4 from 6 games on 18 points, followed by the Firebirds and then the Volts. It's good to see the Volts up, because they had a pretty poor season last season, finishing bottom of the table, and then it goes Canterbury, Northern and Auckland. 1 win.
Auckland bringing up the rear.
Whoa, that's terrible. On the women's game as well, we're going to gloss over Auckland being on the bottom there. On the women's table, as we said, the Wellington Blaze dominating 6 from 6. Magicians 5 from 6 games. Auckland Hearts, Sparks Brave, and the Hinds at the bottom, still without a win this competition. Yeah,
good to see the Hearts repping the Auckland points there, given it the aces just can't do it.
It's all about the Auckland women. All right, couple more rounds to go, and that points table could go anywhere. As we said, if you are around on this Friday, come and say hello down at the Eden Park Outer Oval. Meanwhile, in international news, we are all wrapped up in Karachi after a full month over there. New Zealand winning the final ODI game on Friday night and claiming the series. In my opinion, Mark, the best performer on Friday was sub-fielder Henry Nicholls with two run-outs and a catch.
Not a bad day's work, is it?
Considering he wasn't even on the field. You know,
couple
as
of
first
run-outs,
choice.
take a catch, chill out, don't have to do any batting, so you could do a Tom Blundell, have a little nap in the changing rooms. I'm going to say the best performer there was Glenn Phillips on Friday because, he came out under pressure and just scored runs and got New Zealand over the line there to win that series, which is a great series win. To go over to Pakistan and have test matches and ODIs and, win the ODI series and I guess draw the test match series. It's a good effort. Hopefully we do see more cricket in Pakistan going forward, but hopefully we also see, I guess, just some more competitive pitches.
Black Caps will stay over that side of the world though, with the 3 ODIs and 3 T20s. In India, 2 changes for the ODI series that is played across the next week. Kane Williamson and Tim Southee will return home to prepare for the England Test series. Chapman and Duffy come in. However, I'm going to go ahead and say we're more likely to see Henry Nicholls and Henry Shipley get a go above those two, the double Henrys.
Yeah, I think you're right, given that Chapman has been out of form recently, to put it mildly. I think Nicholls in the 50 over stuff will definitely get a hit, even if they just field him, just put him on as a fielder. Obviously he's pretty good at it, so he probably won't even need to bat if he can carry on that fielding form. And it'd be good to see Henry Shipley get another go as well, because he did make his debut in the Pakistan series and it didn't quite go to plan for him, but hopefully now that he's got that under his belt, got it out the way, the nerves will be gone a little bit and he can just concentrate on doing what he does best, and that is winning games. Yeah,
definitely. Now, I just wanted to bring up something here, Mark, because listening to the commentary throughout this ODI series, in game 1 they were accusing Finn Allen of batting too slow, that he was on 3 from 14 balls, which I wasn't too fussed with because we've talked about how the players need to get in and settle and sort of get a feel for the pitch, right? And you're like, it's 47 overs to go, come on. Second game, he went a bit more aggressively and got out very quickly. So my question is, are we confused about what ODI cricket is, and what are people thinking about this format at the moment? Because it's starting to slip out of popularity, I'm starting to think.
Yeah, it's been a discussion, hasn't it, for the last sort of year or two around whether 50 overs in internationals has a place. I think it does, but I think what people need to be mindful of is if we do have 50 over cricket, that, it's 30 overs longer than the hit and dash stuff, the T20 stuff. So I think 50 over cricket is all about your opening batsman, your top order, getting used to the pitch, accumulating runs. And they always say, I think when you get to 30 overs, if you've got wickets in hand, you should double what you're on after 30 overs. So if the likes of Finn Allen and Kane Williamson and Devon Conway can get New Zealand up to sort of 200 for 1 off 30 overs or 200 for 2 off 30 overs, you can try to double that with 8 wickets in hand. When you think the likes of Darren Mitchell, Glenn Phillips are coming in, they're going to be able to score around about sort of 8 to 10 and over, depending on the pitch obviously. 400 is an absolutely massive score. So Finn Allen can take himself 30 balls to get in, but then the next 30 balls he could score at 200 and would have a really good strike rate. So people just need to remember that 50 over cricket isn't about having the same strike rate as T20, because you've got a lot more time to get yourself in, get settled, read the pitch, accumulate runs, and then go hard when you've built a platform.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And I'm still a big fan of 50 over cricket as a spectator. I did take to Twitter to see what some of our followers thought about 50 over cricket. So we have at Corsby Jason saying it's still his favourite format. There's some drama, some excitement and heartbreak. I would know. In ODIs, it's still the most sought after trophy, and it is a spectacle because of the ebb and flow of the contest across 100 overs, which I like that because I do feel like 50 over cricket ebbs and flows, and you're just sort of waiting for that moment where the game does start to turn after 30 or 40 overs.
Yeah.
We also had at Marty 57 say it's his second favourite format after Test cricket, a purist at heart. It's a proper innings where you have to have all the skills, batting, bowling and fielding. You've got to play to the conditions, and 100 overs is a good cricketing day out. I'd also like to point out that you still need to be a specialist wicket keeper in 50 over cricket. They've talked a lot about Devon Conway not actually being a good enough wicket keeper to do 50 overs, and that's why Tom Latham is so important in the New Zealand team.
Maybe that's why the team list that we saw had 3 wicketkeepers listed.
It was for T20, so maybe a discussion for next week. Yes, if you haven't seen that, head along to Twitter to find a bit of an interesting decision on how New Zealand's team plays out for the T20s. A couple more comments on ODIs. At Graham Holdham says that ODI cricket's really important for club cricket. A lot of club cricket still playing the 50 over format. T20s don't tease out skills for cricket, and who can get 5 days off to play Test cricket at club level? Only the pros can. Whereas Martin Lawrence Sports says it is starting to have to find its way in 2023. Was a great format, but it feels a little bit lost outside of the World Cup, which I do see his point, because it is a little bit difficult to watch a T20 series, but I do see his point. It is a little bit difficult to watch a full ODI series, but you get me to a World Cup, oof, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I guess there's a little bit more on the line with the World Cup series, right? Is like every game you have to win, whereas, you know, the unwritten, the unseen side of things is that the more games you win in a bilateral series or whatever, gives you points to go towards your World Cup status. I think we're spoilt as fans at the moment because of the amount of T20 cricket that is played, because they're trying so desperately to attract new audiences and that's where all the sponsorship is, right? People who aren't even into cricket that have got heaps of money will sponsor a team, or will invest money into a team because it's T20, because that's where the global audience lies. So I agree that 50 overs is losing its way. Purely because of the amount of T20 cricket being played. There's talk about international cricketers already playing too much cricket, and I do fear that 50 overs will just become less and less frequent.
Yeah, I think...
and that the shine of the 50 over World Cup will then go on to the T20 World Cup, but then that tournament is held, every year or every 2 years?
It's usually every 2 years. Obviously with COVID there's been a few changes to that schedule. Yeah, I think in 10 years we will be having a very different discussion about 50 over cricket.
Yeah, I agree. Which would be a shame, because it is great to go and watch, and you know, day nighty, you get there at 2 and you're sort of there till 10, and a lot of things happen in between.
Yes, well, there will be some more ODIs coming up in New Zealand later this year when New Zealand play Sri Lanka, and we will still be looking towards the 2023 ODI World Cup played in India later this year.
Yeah.
All right. It is now time for our first 11 of the week. Sticking with Twitter.
Yeah.
I had an idea at the game on Saturday. Saturday. That I was thinking about Grant Elliott. And I was like, Grant Elliott hit a 6 to win a World Cup. That is his career-defining moment, right?
Yeah.
So can we do a first 11 of career-defining moments? So I put this out on Twitter, and a lot of them came back with suggestions that weren't quite on the positive vibe that I was going for. So what I have this week, Mark, is not that first 11. What I have is the first 11 of crimes against cricket.
I've been waiting for this one.
Have you? So this is players who disgraced our sacred game. You may recognise some names. All right, let's go. In at 1, Lou Vincent. 2, Greg Chappell. 3, you'll love this one, David Warner. 4, Cameron Bancroft. 5, Tim Payne. 6, Chris Cairns. 7, Hansi Cronje. 8, Dinesh Kanera. 9, Salman Butt. 10, Trevor Chappell. And 11, John Lever.
That's a solid 11.
I mean,
and unfortunately there's so many more as well that spring to mind that you could put in there. That's I tell you what, it's a bloody good 11. No, I wouldn't fancy playing them.
Well, no.
It's an 11 of solid cricketers.
That's kind of the worst part of the first 11.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such a good first 11. Okay, that is our sad first 11 of the week. As we said, if you are around, come and see us this Friday when we are watching Auckland versus the Wellington team. I'm very excited. I will not repeat the antics of episode from last season entitled I'm Sorry.
Hello, Logan.
Wait, Adam, she thinks I'm really hot. That was you.
Was that me?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed it with the accent. I do like your accent, though. I enjoyed your attempt at a German accent on Saturday, which actually was Irish. And then you tried another accent, which was also Irish. So I think your go-to is just Irish.
Irish is my favourite accent. Just so everyone knows, I was trying to explain cricket to a German at about 11:30 on Friday night. It was impossible. I gave up.
Yeah, apparently it did not go well.
It did not go well.
We will be sat in between the big screen and the scoreboard, which is our sort of usual perch. So do feel free to come and make yourselves known. There's going to be a heap of us, and we've got picnic blankets, and there'll be beers, basically. Beers and cider and pals and whatever else there is going on. Come make yourself known. Contribute to our first 11 of the week. Renee always has her book with her. She takes it to bed with her. It's under her pillow. It's literally does not leave her side. So yeah, feel free to contribute to any of the vacancies that we've got in those first 11s at the moment. Or if you're not able to make the game, social media is second best place to do that. Also, sorry.
What are you doing?
Bear with me.
Also, I hate myself. Also, I'm mum.
Yeah.
Also.
It's a cricket shit.
Also, I actually hate cricket. What are you doing?
Also, on a final point, really want to give a big congratulatory shout out to Chris Jameson, who won our little giveaway that we were running on Instagram. No, we didn't. Fuck, that's the wrong one.
Matt Wallace.
Matt Wallace.
I'm going to see that tomorrow too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, cool. Also, just want to give a massive congratulatory shout out to Matt Wallace, who won our giveaway over on the Instagram page. Shirt is on its way to you, mate. Congratulations. Don't put it on Trade Me. Keep it. It's for you.
You're lucky you got that because it is signed by Will Young, and I wanted to clutch it in my little hands after that innings.
Yeah, that's why she's posting it tomorrow, because she just wants one more night with it, just to look at it and admire it.
On that note.
Yeah.
End of the podcast.
It's been a pleasure as always. Speak to you Friday or through social media, or we'll see you next week.
Find us on social media. We are at Back of a Link, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Otherwise, as always, talk to you next week.